All right, hey folks, we're going to do some more artwork for Crystals of Mabar. We're making some creature tokens today for undead and other nefarious creatures. Give me a second here to check my signal. I'll go through my quick intro, and then we'll get to work for a couple hours. So let's see. I am looking for my current Eberron stream and doing a mic check. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Check. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Check. Solid. Sounds solid. Okay, I'm going to hit the Twitter and the Discord. And I'm going to take a few moments here to talk about me for a moment to introduce myself. Hey, for folks that aren't familiar with me, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, I publish them online, and I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for the past 5 years. There's a slew of links in the description down below to different work that I've already published on DMsGuild.com. It all has extensive free previews. So if you click into the preview links on a mobile phone, it'll be an eye icon on the right-hand side of the screen. On a desktop, it's going to be a link that says full preview underneath it. So click either one of them. It'll throw open a PDF for you guys. There's probably about 150 different illustrations that I've painted across those books for the various things that I made. I myself, I DM 5e from level 1 to 20 campaigns in about 200 to 250 hours. So the things that I build, I use, and the things that I use in my campaigns were generally, there's either something, the things I publish are either things I discovered while running a campaign that was cool enough to build something out of, or I knew I wanted to run a specific type of campaign, so I needed to build the tools for them. But in either one of those cases, I build it out, play test it, make sure it works well, build it out, and then illustrate it, and then publish it. So right now we're creating an actual adventure that was designed for other DMs to play. Instead of having tools to integrate into your game, I'm giving you an entire adventure that you can run characters through if they want. So it's for 8th level characters, 5th edition, Dungeons and Dragons, Eberron setting, Crystals of Mabar. Where am I at? That's my book cover. We created this around episode 40, and we're currently up to episode 188. If you're interested in seeing that and all the other like maps and stuff that we've built, you can jump in here into the Wayback Machine on the full creative playlist here. Best way to support the channel: like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. We gained more subscribers today. God bless you folks for being interested in what it is that I do. If you check out all my work on DMsGuild.com, you'll have full previews of everything. I build books, and I hope that people buy them to encourage me to make the next book. You can just read the book, but if you want me to make more of them, please buy it. So check it out, and anyone that buys my books typically gets like tokens, playmats, and extra stuff. I'm also on Twitter at Phil Kearney, if you're still on the Twitter X platform. Oh yeah, and I have a Discord channel now. So most of the time I spend my time talking about Spelljammer or Color Mana or the Martial Power System, but I sure do like Eberron a lot. It's my favorite setting. I like Eberron more than anything. So this adventure is for 8th level characters. You go into a manifest zone of Mabar where there's monsters and stuff. So we're creating monsters and stuff right now. Let's just keep at that, shall we? Right now we are creating an Atyug. Which are basically like trash monsters. This particular Atyug has some interesting sort of floral stuff going on to it. I don't think I'm necessarily jiving with that, so I'm going to change it. We're going to give him some jiggity jaggedy teeth, though. I'm into that. Wham, wham, wham. Let's go find, do we have an image of an Atyug in here? No. Let's go. Keep chunks. Yeah, let's go fetch a picture of Atyug to make sure that I get my biology right. Blip, blip, there we go. Oh, I better set a timer now that we're here. Burp, 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 and burp, and beep. 20-minute timer. I'll make sure I don't fall into too many tangents. Atyug, blip, monster, Huh. Yeah, I have the distinct impression. Yeah, this is a three-legged thing. Okay, I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right. We're doing good. Sally forth with confidence, friends. Cool, I got a fire going. I just want to make sure it was still going. Sometimes my fires go out. Huh. Have I ever actually painted an Utig before? That's fun. I like that. It's good shape. Let's fix the legs. Here, and then the other one's there. There. like that. There we go. I'm having a debate right now in my mind about making an illustration for every subclass of every class in the Martial Powers book that I develop on Tuesdays and Fridays. Including tomorrow, we're doing an Azorius Fighter Battlemaster on stream at lunch tomorrow. That'll be in about 20... like around 28 hours from now. I don't know how far into the future you're seeing this, so if it's more than 28 hours into the future, never mind. Check my playlist, my recent stream list on my channel here to see that. But yeah, the Azorius Senate, they're blue-white magic. We have the Fighter Battlemaster on our docket to build a human fighter Battlemaster for the Ravnica setting as a pre-generated character to use in the Rebel Belt's West March campaign that I'm putting together to playtest the Martial Power system. If you're interested in that or just keeping up with it, there is a link to my Discord in the description down below, and there's a sign up for playtesting if people are interested. I'll be DMing it. I'm building the Hexcrawl campaign setting, toolkit to run color mana land. I guess Hexcrawl. So I'm used squares, but I mean Hexcrawl is the term. So yeah, a color magic MTG Hexcrawl system for 5th edition D&D for use like in the Ravnica Rebel Belt specifically, but could also work for the lands between city states and Strixhaven, or I mean in Theros, as well as the Badlands and the Tarns of Arcavios, where the Strixhaven University is located. Most of the surrounding world is unmapped for the most part, for players anyway. I mean, there would obviously be somebody out there that would have a map of it in the game world that the players could potentially connect with as characters. And if the DM wanted to make one of those, cool. But like the mile by mile breakdown of terrain and what kind of creatures are in that terrain and stuff is vastly undefined in the Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos, because the world at large is beyond the real scope of what the adventure Curriculum of Chaos is attempting to achieve, which is basically simulating a magic wizardry school in 5e, using 5e mechanics. So it doesn't spend a lot of time in the larger world where the university is set in. But that is certainly a place where you'd be able to do a color mana land crawl. So, hey Tyler, how you doing? Vampire noises. We've been watching What They Do in the Shadows. It's folks probably already know what that is because it's been around for a number of years at this point. A mockumentary of vampires living life in New York. It's got Tilda Sweeney and names are escaping me at the moment. Batista, whatever his first name is, the guy from Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. They have all sorts of notable names that come through for like an episode or two and then are off the show. But it's surprising to me the recognition level of actors that they pull into that TV show. So I mean, it's not mine. There are no real TV shows anymore. It's just a streaming show. So anyway, but you know what I mean. Bob's your uncle. Let's do that. Can we do that? This guy's filling up a lot of space. pull that down a bit. Hey, tell us what's going on. So funny. Yeah, what was I talking? Oh yeah. I think I was talking about something. Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. This all started off with my brain clicking over that I have. Oh boy, I have all the barbarians, all of the monk, all of the paladin and ranger and rogue. All of them are converted. All of their subclasses are completed. And my brain wants me to illustrate every single one of them in the book. So I think I'm going to be doing a shitload of character art when we start illustrating martial powers. And I can't really complain about that. It's just, there's going to be a lot. So I'm going to have to strap in for that one for sure, mateys. It's going to be a ride. But that won't be until later 2024, like probably August, that I start doing illustrations for that. But it'll be fun when we do. It'll be fun. If a player were to have a dog as their character in the Ravnica setting, I would say it would most likely be in one of maybe 3 different guilds. It would either be in Simic, because the character transformed themselves permanently into a dog and now that's how they are, or it would be Izzet, and there would be a mind-reading collar on it that it projects whatever you're thinking about, like squirrel or whatever. But you'd be probably like a barbarian type character, maybe a ranger. Got a dog beastmaster with a dog companion. That's actually pretty fucking funny. And then the third one I think would make sense would be Selesnya, and the dog is awakened, so it has normal human intelligence and can speak like a dog can speak. But those are the 3 guilds I think that would readily have dogs as potential characters. If you were to say, you could play any race that you want. That's how I'd play that out. Because the bestest boys ever make for the bestest companions in battle. So you always got to think, how can dogs be incorporated into your campaign setting realistically? Text. Honestly, I'm doing okay. Hard at work and stuff, getting ready for the Shepherd latest with... Hey, right on. Martial Powers token bundle? Yes, absolutely. But a Sex would be a cat. I don't know what ASEXK would be. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I'm sure you'll tell me. There. Ah, fucking text. I hate this heart. It just gets in the way of everything. There. Oh, is that IZZET? Right, oh my god. Well, Kashubal. Is that how you say that? Kashubal. That's a cool name, man. I dig it. What's up? We're making a Notiag right now. We're creating there's a Spoiler alert, in the Eberron adventure that we're building, there is an Otyugh that is hiding in the trash in one of the dungeon rooms. Like, you should always expect a Mimic and an Otyugh in a dungeon. Oh, and a gelatinous cube isn't a bad bet either. Maybe a black pudding. Like, there's a lot of dungeon staples in D&D. I'm going to move that out of the way. Drop this in here. Get that lined up. Get that hair. Down like that. There we go. That seems proper foreshortening, right? I see. Jesus, I see a lot of text going on over there. Hold on. Let me catch up to you here in a second. Here today, gone tomorrow. It's all the same. I'm feeling sick. I'm feeling numb. We'll be done. Yeah, right on. Oh, I thought you were doing my sister. Sounds like you and your sister have a rivalry going on, huh? I don't think I want to step in the middle of that, but no, just a trash monster, like an actual trash monster. I learned a long time ago not to get in between sibling rivalries. There tends to be collateral damage to those that are involved. Do that. Do like that for shortening here in the back. Do claw. You know what? I should be looking at trimmers. Oh, those are bipeds. Maybe not. I must have misremembered it. It's the face that clops with threes. That's right. I thought I had 3 legs too, but alas, earwax. Let's see. What is it? World's tripod creature. Interesting. Okay. Like that. Thank you, whoever concept artist that concepted those tripods. Thank you for the inspiration. She's mad at me because I ruined her 13th birthday when I was 11. Oh my god, that's horrible. There's my alarm to make sure I don't fall into too much of a tangent. Yeah. Try mirroring the image. Nah. What do I need to do? Yeah, building that that Demir soul knife was really, really fucking fun. And so I'm incredibly excited about how the Azorius Battlemaster is going to turn out tomorrow. That is going to be fun. Yeah, the thought was that each of the subclasses, like all of the barbarian subclasses, it's doing like a quarter-page illustration for each one of them, and using either Strixhaven, Theros, Ravnica, or Airbender knockoff stuff for the elemental aspect to express those characters. But there's a lot of them. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll take a while, but I'm really in no hurry to build these things. I just want them to be good. So I think that should work out for us. Let's do like that. So we have more about gaping maw. This tongue spillover. Yeah. Yeah. Boom da da do. Where we at? We got Jack. We're gonna do that. Click that. All right, so we can have a tentacle here, a tentacle here, and a tentacle here. And we want a leg here, we want a leg here, and we want a leg here. Go with here to here, here, here. Points of leverage are important to consider. There, little. There. Good. Then back here, let's do like that. Like that. I see text going on over there. I'll catch up with you in a second. Hold on. Hey, Nitro, what's the word, my guy? Oh, shit, yeah, dog. For those that don't know, Nitro is one of the playtesters that ran the adventure with me, like, what, you were like in 2 or 3 sessions with me, and has been running it as a DM as well ever since the rough format was completed and we roughed out the maps. So, Nitro and... let's see, it was, I had 2 other people, but I didn't know who they were that were running it. So I've had 3 DMs, including Nitro, independently running, and it got good feedback from the other 2 that volunteered, and Nitro, yours is the one that's been running the longest. The other ones were like maybe 2 or 3 sessions, maybe 5. Like one of those 5 sessions is the one I think was 3 sessions, just doing a jaunt. But yeah, you've really leaned into the content, and that's exciting. I'm stoked. This used to be my morning project before Spelljammer caught fire. I was doing maps for a couple months in the mornings, Monday through Friday, and then when Spelljammer caught fire, I made the decision to shift Jammer in the mornings and Eberron just twice a week until Jammer publishes. So Jammer will publish at the end of the month, and then once it does, we'll shift back to doing Eberron 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. So. And that will open up my Thursday and Monday nights to have as options for playtesting the martial power system. I'll be able to lean into. I'll have a little bit more prep time available for me to flesh out some of the encounters for each week, and I want to make sure that that feels good. Get that there, like that. And I could be rebuilding the color mana books as early as, I guess, potentially June. I guess is an ambiguous prediction I heard about when the new player's handbook will drop, and obviously I have to get it because I want to rebuild all of the color mana books to be compliant with the new version for the next probably like what 8-10 years. So. Build that all out, rebuild that all out. I've got better layout skills now, and I think I have better trade dress in general. So when I rebuild those books, I can really glam them up, as it were. I'm not liking how toad-like these legs are, so I'm wanting to drop them down a little bit lower here. But I want to keep that switchback knee. But I need to stubby this guy up. He's looking too storkish, I guess. This is feeling a lot thicker, a little more hardy. I think is probably the word I'm like. Something that eats trash, I think needs to be hardy. It's a good word for creatures, and so I think this better fits the bill better. There we go. Now I'm really liking how this thing is building out. When the Spelljammer gets done, I'm going to have to spend at least one streaming session on the Spelljammer campaign I'm building for my home table. I have Warforged Mecha to create off of the Fightercraft rules. I have a random asteroid generator that I need to build. I have random creature tables that I need to build out based on the location in relation to Eberron and the orbiting moons. So there's going to be different threats that the teams can run across in their ships or while they're mining asteroids. And oh yeah, and I need to build the 4X resource system for them to be able to gather up elements to be able to convert to wealth, for them to convert into additional weapons, crew, ships, or contacts, for them to be able to expand their guild into an empire. So that will be a very, very fun process. I am very much looking forward to it, but gotta get Spelljammer done first before I can do that. The team's taking their time with they're at 20th level in the time travel campaign that I've been DMing for the past 5 years, and we've finally gotten to 20th level, and they've been around killing gods, as it were. There's a bunch of chaos, like Warhammer style warp gods, right? Like these things that are like perversions of natural creatures. They take the form of different types of like one is like the brood mother that is like a termite queen that just spews forth creatures that are like genetically modified as she rattles them out to attack people. So from round to round, they can change what kind of immunities that they have. Another one of them is a massive Black Widow. They captured the Brood Mother in a white mana prison system, like a prison glyph. That when you pass through it, it's a disintegration field. So she and her brood stay contained inside that space, and then they set a time loop anchor on it, so that if the bug were killed, it'll be when it dies, it resets back into the cage with the screen up. So if it can get out, it's only temporary. And the time loop, of course, it's a Groundhog Day campaign, so days only last the time only lasts 1 day, and so now that they've trapped the bug in a time loop, if it doesn't die at the end of the day, it resets anyway. So if it finds a way to escape its prison, it only has 24 hours to do something, and everything's going to reset anyway. So it's largely irrelevant. So they've effectively knocked that god out of the equation for the time being, at least. They went into the home plane of the Black Widow and killed her there. Killed her there themselves. The 20th level druid can go kaiju and can scale up to a 500-foot square as a creature. And the widow is 100 feet, so it was massive and intimidating and dangerous to the team until she hit 20th level, and our druid now she likes to run around right now as a 500-foot saber-toothed tiger. It's a preferred form of damage right now, and stuff crumbles pretty quickly underneath her. So the rogue was able to ascertain that it had a weakness against radiant damage, and he has lifesteal, so he just dumped all his mana on top of sneak attack to deal like around 100 some odd. Well, it has a weakness against radiant damage, so he's automatically dealing double damage, and then if he gets a crit, it's quadruple damage. And he's an assassin, so they caught it off guard before combat began, so he won initiative. So he was able to hit and assassinate, get a sneak attack as a 20th level rogue, throw 5 mana behind it to pop a 5d10 life drain effect. And he also has an exploit that if he spends 4 mana, he can do maximum damage whenever he crits, but only when he crits, he can deal max damage. So as an assassin, he has basically one guaranteed crit if he can get the drop on the enemies. And since it had weakness against radiant damage, it was doing quadruple damage that he capped out. He only had he already had a bunch of stuff up and running, like Frenzy and other things active. So he had of the 20 stack he would normally had, he was down to he had burned through 10 already on rerolls and stuff. So he had 10 mana left, so he blew 5 of it on the 5d10 radiant damage, and then he blew 4 more points on the exploit to cap the damage. It was times 4, and it was and it was max damage. So it was a d6 from his dagger, 10d6 from the sneak attack. So that's 66 damage. The 5d10, so that was 116 damage. And then weapon bonus +3, so what was that, 119, and then in ability stat it was 120. He got up to 125 damage. So when he quadrupled it, 255. Yeah, he did 500 damage, and but that blew almost all his mana. So at that point, if he wanted to do more stuff with mana, it had to be first rank or lefts, because that would be free for him. Or he had to start eating his own sneak attack dice to be able to continue hitting with strike effects. But he could only do up to 3 mana. So he did, and he didn't get any more crits that episode. But between him and the 500-foot were tiger, Saber-tooth tiger. Between the two of them, they ended up dealing around, I want to say 1,600 damage over the course of 3 rounds, and it had 1,500 hit points. So it was a 3-round battle, and they blew a shitload of resources, killing it, and they were incredibly satisfied. So that was an adventure well done. The bug was a lot easier to capture because they were stun locking it and using thunder strikes to do forced movements to push it into the prison. And they had to blow all the resources doing that too. So the encounters were properly calibrated for 20th level characters. The ranger was on vacation during the fight with the bug, but they decided to press on with the spider. But they decided to press on anyway. If he had been there, they could have killed it in 2 rounds with the bursting strikes that he had. But let's see. And then he used a telekinetic bubble on the bug to trap it, and they were able to once it got within close enough range of the prison sigil, he was able to throw a telekinetic bubble onto it, and then they were just able to roll it into position, drop the bubble, open up the trap, and then the bug was caught. But they still had to punch through a shitload of resources to get it close enough to prison to be able to pull that off. And because the bug gets it, the broodmother gets a saving throw every round against being imprisoned. So they had to put the disintegration thing on there. She's really good at getting out of traps, so ironically they trap her, which is why they need the permanentized disintegration field, so that when she slips out of the trap, she gets disintegrated. So it's holding for now. They're not sure if it's a long-term strategy or not, but it's working while they go take care of the rest. The problem is that the Shadow Dragon is the last god they have to kill. And the Shadow Dragon is the smartest of the 3. The Broodmother is the dumbest, but the most indestructible. The Spider is middle ground. It's smart enough to know how to fight and stuff, but when it gets caught out by 2-3 20th level characters, it's just a matter of how quickly are they going to kill it, not a matter of whether they can kill it or not. And but the Shadow Dragon is going to be the smartest one, and it's time savvy. So if it kills them and they reset their day, the Dragon's day is going to be aware that there was a time shift reset, and it's going to know that it's fought them before and how they defeated them. So anytime they fight the dragon, they only have one chance with any tactic, and it knows that tactic, and it has a counter to it. So they have to continuously try to find new ways to fight it. But they've traveled into the past before the dragon knew them, so it doesn't have any of it's not savvy in the past yet, so they can get the drop on it. Their current plan is they have a soul binding ritual that they found through some research, that you can basically encarve glyphs onto an object or into the skin of a creature. And if you do that, then you can have a soul can permanently possess that thing. It doesn't have an expiration date that it has to leave the body. It can just stay in there. So they're taking a chunk of Biashk, which is basically poisonous to demons, and they're making a demon trap out of a Biashk box, that if they can catch it off guard and trick it and pull it into the trap, they can dump a shitload of mana into making it fail its saving throw, and to get penalties to its saving throw to the point where it's going to fail, and so they can trap it. And they think that if they trap it that way, they can safely end the time loop and end the campaign. The rule is you can leave the time loop. They have a ritual that they got at 7th level. They found it in some research. Same place they found the soul trap, coincidentally. And the ritual lets them end the Groundhog Day loop that they're in. They can create Groundhog loops. They can create Groundhog Day loops, and they can end Groundhog Day loops on individuals. It's a ritual. It takes like an hour to do it. The difficulty check of arcane or spellcasting check is DC 26. And that used to be a real fucking problem for them at low levels, but now that they're rocking 20, they've got the proficiency bonuses, the stat gains, the specialization, and the powers to be able to reroll dice with mana, to be able to hit shit like that pretty easily. It's just how much resources do they want to eat up accomplishing it. So they can do it. So they know that they could leave the time loop pretty much anytime they want at this point. But the rule is, when you leave the time, when you choose to end the Groundhog Day, the campaign is over. And whatever results it is that you created, you're not going, like the whole spiel of the game is that the world is ending, and if they don't save the world by the end of the day, they all die, and then they reset back to the beginning of the day to try it again. And they've been in this loop since level 1, so it's been a full 250-hour level 1 to 20 campaign. They've been locked inside this time loop, but they could have gotten out at any time they wanted as soon as they could hit a DC 26 on an arcane check. So they chose to stay into it because they started figuring out what was going on and what they could do to potentially solve the problem. Plus, they didn't want to die. So they've stayed in it, and they think if they can trap the Shadow Dragon in this BS rune prison, that they'll be able to safely end the day. And they know they won't know if they've succeeded or not until they drop out of the time loop and find out what happens the next day. Does the world still get destroyed? Did they solve the world from being destroyed? But will they in epilogue find out that, well, yeah, 3 years later the world's destroyed anyway? They don't know. But they do know that when they end one campaign, it helps propel the next campaign, and the things that they do in their current game end up modifying the campaign world for the future campaigns that they run. And this is going to be my 4th campaign from level 1 to 20 in Eberron. So that's a very rich homebrew version of Eberron at this point, and they also know that they're going to be playing Spelljammer next. So what they don't know is, are they going to play a Spelljammer where the world has been destroyed and they're basically going to be in a ragtag fleet of refugees crossing the multiverse trying to find a new place they can call home? Or have they survived and there's going to be a culture of Spelljammer in the Eberron campaign that they start? And I haven't told them which one it is yet, but whichever circumstance it is, the characters are involved in an asteroid belt mining company. They'll be running the company. They'll be allocating the resources for like Civilization or Tycoon, like Roller Coaster Tycoon, or like Train Tycoon is probably more accurate. I don't know if there's a mining operation like Diamond Mining Tycoon. That's probably a little dark for a video game. But you can click on Pepe and you can go have him work himself to death to collect uranium for you. Sorry, Pepe. I love you, my little guy. Tell me when your sister's old enough to carry rocks. But yeah. So it's dwarves. It's dwarves, gnomes, and warforged that are mining rocks in space. So that's what they're going to have their characters built from. It's a platoon style campaign. So there's the emphasis isn't on the individual characters that they're playing, but what roles what's their roster of characters that they can pick from to execute the mission that they've chosen, and they'll be able to choose their own missions, and they have to prospect different rocks that they want to mine. And once they found a target that they think is juicy, they have to find out if it's infested with monsters by sending in Space Marines. And once they secure the rock, then they can send miners in to start extracting resources from it. If the miners find a vault or something that unleashes a monster, they could lose their mining crew and would have to then send a rescue team or an extraction team, which means more Space Marines going in and fighting more monsters. And once they finish extracting all the wealth and allies that they can from the place in peace, they potentially have pirates or other random monsters in the asteroid belt that attack them on their way back to the refining factory that's in low orbit. And if they can get all the way back to the mining operation, then they have to convert their they convert their resources. They convert they convert the ore into refined either metal or gem cut into dragon crystals that they can then sell or trade for additional resources that they could then invest into either like upgrading or getting a second ship, upgrading or recruiting more miners, recruiting or upgrading the space marines, or getting new contacts for new trade opportunities and new resources, or negotiating new trade contracts so they get more wealth more resources for every unit of ore that they're able to retrieve. And so those are the basically like the 6 different things that can be developed. There's also like arcane rituals and different D&D, there's like rituals and magic and shit. So they'll have opportunity to develop all that. So I think that's 6 different resources. So they'll have 6 different industries they can invest their resources into. Just like if you check out my playlists, there's the In Command of Guilds and Kingdoms. We're using the 4X resource system that we developed in there, and so they can devote a number of resources into each industry, and depending on how much they have invested into each industry determines the bonuses that they get to ability checks that determine if they're able to craft things, negotiate things, convert things, recruit people, all that stuff. It all converts into a series of basically like group tasks that are performed as an organization through your team as an NPC guild. Like they may start off with like maybe 40 or 50 people in a first rank guild, just like a ship, some soldiers, and some smart miners that are just trying to chop up a rock a little bit to get ahead. And they can eventually, if we decide to stick with the campaign all the way through, they can elevate their organization to a 5th rank empire, basically, with like multiple refining factories and fleets of ships to defend their positions against rival nations that may be trying to come in to overthrow their operations. So they can really scale up. They can start franchises. They can overthrow or puppet governments. So depending on how crazy they want to go, they'll eventually have to like start fighting with the word I'm looking for is the dragon, like the dragon mark houses. They'll have rivals of them because they're attempting to basically carve out a new what's the word I'm looking for? It's a new frontier of industry that the Warforged dwarves and gnomes didn't bother to let the rest of the dragon mark houses in on the revenue. They're trying to keep it for themselves, and so that's going to create all sorts of potential conflict. So they can have a roster of characters. They can have like specialists. And so like negotiating, like diplomats will have negotiation skills to barter new deals, and to recruit people, and to uncover plots or potential threats that the organization may have to deal with from a civilized side. And they can advance the mining crew so that they're able to prospect higher worth asteroids, extract a larger percent of the asteroids, and be able to locate a higher percent of ore, so it's more efficient and profitable to smelt as a base basically as the base resource gathering unit in the game. And then they can advance the ships to have larger carrying capacities, or if they're gunboats and fighter craft, to have more higher rank crew and better weapons. And then if they're space marines, that they'll have mecha, and we'll be using the docent AI system that I want to add to the Spelljammer supplement once it's done, So I'm using my home table to start playtesting Warforge, martial power stuff, which will be really fucking cool. Mixing martial powers with my Spelljammer mechanics is going to be like chocolate and peanut butter, man. That's going to be fucking badass. That is going to be fucking badass. And of course we use color mana, so that'll be a thing. So they can decide what colors they want their guild to be devoted to primarily, to help dictate the kind of opportunities and relationships that they build with other guilds that will have their own color alignments. So it's gonna be really fucking fun. And I'll build as much of it as I can here online as possible once the Spelljammer book is done. So I should be starting that at the beginning of February. Is the dream. I'll be doing Eberron in the mornings, starting in February, and I'll be working on the Spelljammer 4X campaign, probably on either Monday or Thursday. I'll continue working on the Hex Crawl on Monday or Thursday, and then whatever there's also a Saturday that I can do stuff in. So I'll either have the playtest on Monday, Thursday, or Saturday, basically like a 4-hour block once a week. And we'll spend 3 weeks at 3rd level, then we'll spend 3 weeks at 4th level, then 3 weeks at 5th level, 6th level, up to 9th level. That should be a 5-month block of time. It'll be 21 weeks for the 7 levels that we're going to go through. So that's just about 21 weeks. That's like 5 months, right? Math, Kearney, math. 5 months. Hey, this guy's looking pretty cool. Which means that kicking that off is also going to be in February. So February, March, April, May, June. So yeah, June we'll be done playtesting in June. And assuming that everything plays nicely at level 1, at level 3 and 4, I can start filling in all the finalized details of level 3 and 4 for the classes. And the first rank powers, and then when you get to 5th, 6th, and 7th, 8th level, I can clean up 2nd rank stuff and all the character class developments during those levels. I've already playtested pretty thoroughly at 12th to 20th level to know that it works well at the top end, and that the numbers aren't outrageous considering the suggested changes in combat and handling monsters and approaching timing in a campaign as like tools and tricks for DMs to use the system, or just to change how they play a campaign in general if you want to do it more like I do it. But yeah, so all that stuff will be in the book, and we can flesh all that stuff out, and I can probably by the time we actually get into 9th level, I think it's just going to be for fun. I don't think I'm going to have any questions about the campaign by the time we get to 9th level. I think I'm going to be okay with it. At that point, we're just getting points for style at that point, and just fleshing the thing out so that folks have a decent run. But I gotta end the thing at some point, and so ending that will be a good indication that I can begin production for the actual Martial Powers book that we'll publish on the DMsGuild. So if that's interesting to anybody, then my Discord that's down here in the description here. Discord community is here. There's a sign up. One of the channels is a sign up and conversation about martial powers. There's another folder of channels about color mana, but I haven't started my color mana rebuild yet. And it's a new Discord channel, so it doesn't have a lot going on yet. So this is what they would call getting in at the ground floor, if assuming it doesn't crumble under its own weight and neglect. But it's going to be a resource hub. Once the playtesting starts, that's going to be the hub where I'm going to conduct all business for the playtest through. So it's going to become a lot more active. So that is going to be the rallying place. We'll have like little, we can have like a meme dump for lulz and giggles, but also like updates to the map, and we can keep a log on different things that are encountered, and things that are specifically ignored. Because it's going to be West March, so that means there can be a different crew of players coming in next time, and they might not know all of they might not be up to date on what's going on, so the notes will be helpful for them to stay current with what's going on. If I was ever tempted to make a recording that would be available to the public, it would be for this game, because it's a West March and there's going to be potentially multiple teams going through, but they're all supposed to be part of the same caravan. So it would be like they should know what all of the player, any player that comes in should have access to or know the things that have happened in the other adventures, even though they weren't there, because their characters are part of the caravan that they are traversing through the Rebel Belt with. So, like, if they want to know it, they should be able, and it's a lot to ask somebody that's there and then gone the next session to like catalog and journal about what happened. So that's probably going to have to be on me. I hate journaling. It eats up precious production time. And rather not do it, but I value it. So I usually reward players on my team with extra inspiration dice every episode. Like if you do a journal entry, I'll give you a point of inspiration for you to re-roll any d20 that you want. And in my games, at my home table, players roll all dice. So that point of inspiration can be used for attack rolls, spell casting checks, armor class saving throws, anything you can imagine. D20. My fire's going out. I gotta tend to my fire here real quick. Hold on. I'll be RB. But yeah, I love players roll all dice. It makes it so, as a DM, I have to think so much less about whatever is going on, because I can just focus my attention on there we go, that should work. I can just focus my attention on the narrative and the timing and the challenges that are coming up, and they're the ones that are grinding out the dice all the time. So they can just tell me what they're rolling, and I can tell them how effective their shit is. There was a really great debate, I think it was on Reddit, that I saw yesterday about the shield spell, and the conversation was something like, if the way that shield and a number of different abilities in D&D kind of assume that the DM tells you what the result of your die roll is. The result of their die roll is. Like a monster attacks you and it rolls a 26. Well, my armor class is 22, so if I throw on a shield spell, I'm going to be able to defeat that armor class. I'm not going to get hit. That makes really good use. That's a really intelligent way to use shield. But most DMs, me included, don't like telling players what the rolls are, because that's not the kind of DM I am. I am a DM of roll a die, see if you succeed or not. And like in the case of shield, you would add 5 to your die roll instead of increasing your armor class by 5, potentially turning it into a miss. It would be, I'm going to roll my defense check for the turn, and then if I don't like where the armor class is at, I can throw shield on top of it and increase it by 5 points. So the way that I run combat is that the players roll all dice, and they make a defense roll at the beginning of the round, and or at the beginning of my turn, at the DM's turn. And the DM then uses the static armor classes that they've rolled for that round to determine which monsters that the team opposes are able to hit them this round. And then I build my narrative around that. And it's players all act at the same time, so it's group initiative. So when they get to do whatever they want, and when they're done doing whatever it is that they want to do, they roll their armor class, and my turn begins. I then process how many of these enemies are able to hit the armor classes that were rolled. And the way that most of the time, like I have them fight swarms a lot, like groups of enemies. And so when I do that, the way that it normally goes down is whoever rolled the lowest armor class or the lowest defense on the team this round is the one that's going to eat the most damage. And they know that. So they'll throw defense stuff on top of each other to get whoever's weakest at the moment to hit them with a shield spell or a ward spell or an interpose to help soak damage to ward off the amount that they take. They can use their reactions after I tell them what happens. They process their reactions to change my storyline, and then they roll right from their reactions into the rest of their round of actions. So if they do, like if they set you up with a strike, like they could do a trip with a reaction. And when your character, when the enemy falls down, like if the enemy was trying to run past them, they could trip the enemy and deal some damage to them on the way down. And then their round starts, and the enemy's prone in front of them, and then they can just lay in a full attack and just raffle stomp on the guy for the round. And then he has a chance to get up and try to run away. And well, he tries to run away. I'm going to use my reaction to sentinel him and lock him in place, and then knock him down again with a strike. And now my round begins. I can start raffle stomping on that guy. But that amount of intense intention is eating up all of my action economy to basically lock down that one dude that I just won't let up. But that's how the system is intended to work. So it's really fun. I think sequencing actions like that, since the group all act at the same time. They can coordinate their resources, their bonuses, different types of strikes and stuff. They can lend each other action economy by using maneuvers as bonus actions to feed into somebody else's reaction that they can use as opportunity attacks, which they might have multiple opportunity attacks per round. So they can maneuver around a lot and get into positions and then lay on the hurt on things. It's pretty fucking cool. And so when I use shield, I have a skewed opinion because players are rolling dice and shield becomes an impromptu add +5 to your die roll on top of whatever else you got going on. And that feels really fucking good with this system. But the rules as written, you basically have 4 spell slots that you can cast using shield, and then you start eating up second and higher level spells, and that starts to suck. The other thing though is that I also use spell points, and when when a 12th level wizard has 45 hit point, 45 mana, I think. Hold on. I'm going on an adventure. Let's go to War of the Worlds tripod. No, I wanted what did I want? Tap, untap, burn. There. Full preview. Yeah, 44. 12th level wizard has 44 mana. So, and a first level spell only costs 1 point. So, to get back to the point of the Reddit conversation, in my world where spell points are fucking awesome, if you don't tell your team what the result of the attack roll is from a creature, that 12th level wizard can cast shield 44 times per day. Of course he's going to add +5 to his armor class. If he doesn't if the creature hits and he doesn't know how well the creature hit, and he's going to get a +5 bonus for the rest of the round with a chance of this hit missing, and he can do it 44 times per day. Yes, he's constantly going to burn his reaction to throw shields on. A lot of players that have a lot of mana do that. And it's awesome because it's eating their reaction. They can't do other things if they're constantly blowing their resources on casting shield over and over again. I just make sure the attack roll is high enough that it's worth their while, that they occasionally that it works, fairly frequently, and so they don't feel bad about spending that point when they got another 34 in the bucket. That lets them be pretty frivolous with their mana, which is great because the only thing a DM needs from players is for them to want to spend their resources doing stuff. Like if you're running a game and your team doesn't want to smite enemies or don't want to throw fireballs at threat, like for whatever reasons they just don't want to use their character's resources to do stuff, they probably aren't having any fun in the game because they aren't committing to how can we take out these threats and stuff. And if your team has the opinion or have the habit of destroying enemies in 3 or 4 rounds, combat gets dull. That's one of the biggest problems with 5e combat, is that it's boring. But if you have a team that'll throw 4 or 5 levels worth of pain on something and as a team knock it out in 2 or 3 rounds, then you can just churn through enemies. And now it's just you throwing mana and making things blow up because it's cool. And so you're just chugging through your resources during the course of the day, and it's not unrealistic to have 6 to 8 combat encounters in a day if each one of them is only taking 2 or 3 rounds of combat. Then you've got like, what's the next action you want to take? What's the next action you guys want to take after that? Next round of combat, 2 or 3 rounds. You shred the thing, you clear the room. Where do you guys want to go next? What do you guys want to hunt for next? What do you guys want to do for observation or investigate this room? Bam, another fight. Okay, let's tear it down. 2 or 3 rounds, maybe 4. That's 3 rounds. Maybe that last one's going to take 4 or 5 rounds. It's like a boss that's going to damage you a lot, maybe. But you've just had 2 or 3 decent fights. Time for a short rest. You got off your short rest. Do another 2 or 3 of those. Another short rest. Another 2 or 3 of those. Take a long rest. Your day is over. So you can cadence through these things if you stop making combat a big deal. And I was talking about this on Monday, converting the action like the type of action economy that you use tells what sort of a game you play. If you're having a combat dungeon simulator game, then all of your action economy and the bulk of debate and rules are around combat, placement, damage, attacking things, surviving, dying, healing, all that stuff. But if you instead had a date simulator game, you may have an action, a bonus action, a reaction, and you can make moves. So you'd still have the same action economy, but you're going to apply it to a date sim game where like you can have a reaction, which is like literally you can control your reaction. And if you roll well, your emotional tone of your reaction influences your target, and you say you have to increase their interest in you from 0 to 60 before they run out of time, like before the date is over. So your round is broken up into a series of moments that, depending on what the task is, like I'm really good with wines. So while we're picking a meal, I'm going to have advantage on any emotional rolls that I'm going to make to potentially deal double the influence I would have on her impression of me. So instead of doing D4 points of impression, I'd be doing D4 times 2 or 2D4, like plus charisma. But I'm grinding down the time and how you split those seconds of every moment. This could have been an interrogation. It could be an interrogation game. I've talked about an exorcism game before, about identifying demons that are causing different wounds and illnesses inside of people and how to dig them out of the person without causing additional damage. That's a type of combat, but it's a psychic emotional combat. So there's a lot of different ways you can turn trap building, or like disarming traps, or heists. You can convert heist schemes into the same sort of combat action economy of actions, bonus actions, reactions, and movements. So and then you could slide combat back to an ability check. And I was talking about fail states last time. The fail state of your game is the point of your game. So if you fail a social encounter in D&D, it leads to a fight. If you fail an exploration challenge in D&D, it's probably going to lead to a fight. Everything, the fail condition of D&D is the point of the game, which is to get into fights. So in a game that de-emphasizes combat and say increases social, like the social date simulator or something, it's unlikely you're going to get in a fight. But an ex-boyfriend could show up and Scott Pilgrim at you. It's not going to be a round-to-round combat of action, bonus action, reaction, movement, hit points. It's going to be an ability check. And if you fail the ability check, he beats you up. If you succeed the ability check, you beat him up. But it's not, the result of that isn't I'm knocked unconscious and I'm bleeding out and I'm dying. The result of that is, are you impressing your date with a spontaneous combat that you have to survive? You're not going to walk out of there with hit points. You're going to walk out of there with more or less influence over their response to you. So it's going to be, it's not, I lost the fight, I now have to sleep for a long rest to get my hit points back. It's, I lost the fight, I'm now going to be at disadvantage on any impression checks I make during the date for probably the rest of the night, maybe permanently with that target. So, like, that's how that fail state means that combat doesn't actually matter. It's not going to get you killed. Like, if you're playing a Scooby-Doo game, I used this example on Monday. If you're playing a Scooby-Doo game, even if they're ambushed and stuff, they're never killed. They're tied up and put away so they can't explore anymore. If you lose a battle in Scooby-Doo, you aren't killed. You're not allowed to make exploration checks anymore. You can't help your team solve the mystery until you get discovered and freed from jail. So since combat is so de-escalated down to a single roll, it might not even be a roll. It could just simply, like in the dating sim, it's not even a roll that you would make. It's like in D&D, the social, like the social pillar is a conversation. And die rolls are optional rules in that conversation. Otherwise, the DM can just tell you if this was a moving argument or not, carry on. So there's no resolution necessary unless you gamify it. And if you do gamify it, it becomes exploration. You're exploring the insight of your target during the interrogation. You're trying to intimidate them. You're trying to bluff them, so you're trying to overcome their insights. These are a series of ability checks. And then combat, and again, in combat in D&D is the hard, fine, is the fine splitting of action economy per second into meaningful, quantified die roll actions that slow the game down to a crawl. So if you spun it with a dating sim, the combat would effectively become a social thing. It would be like, guy shows up, he picks a fight with you, how do you handle it? How do you talk your way out of it? You can impress your gal. And if the DM agrees that you did a good job talking your way out of the fight, or if you have a plausible way that you could get the drop on them, your goal there isn't to beat the enemy up. Your goal there is to gain advantage on your upcoming influence checks. So that can become, that combat is a social challenge that maybe you'll cap off with like a saving throw, you know, something like that, or like a flex check or something like that, whatever. And then then once you start exploring the interests of a person or something like that, then you're looking at exploration, where you're making ability checks, finite ability checks that gives you insights into who that person is, little micro gestures and stuff like that that you pick up on that you start framing an idea about what sort of a personality that you can potentially have advantage against those personality types, or you roll with disadvantage against those personality types. So after you do your research, your warm up, your hey, how you doing, your meet and greet, and you settle in with each other for a little bit, that's when the actual engagement begins, and you start fine splitting everything you say, the way that you say it. What was that gesture? Why did he touch his ear like that? Why is she blowing her nose so much? Breaking down all this stuff to see if you're gaining enough influence to have another date. And if you critically success, then maybe, you know, she wants to hang out with you for the weekend. That sort of thing. But you can swap the action. You see what I'm talking about? You can swap around the action economy. So having the awareness of that's how you can manipulate the different the different depth of mechanics that you apply to each game. Like in my Eberron game, if I want to do combat spelunking with Warforged mecha, I could make that just 2 or 3 ability checks. You either succeed or you don't. If you fail, you have to evacuate the rock. So we would be able to swap where our action economy is going to go into the game, depending on what the preferences of the team are during session 0. I'm not committed to any of them yet. I don't care. So now that the team has ran through another 20 level adventure with me, they can decide, yeah, we like my adventures by default end up being like around 70% exploration, 20% social, and 10% combat. Like there's a meaningful fight, maybe under normal circumstances, a meaningful fight like maybe every 2 or 3 sessions, until they get into a dungeon run and they're fighting, like when they're out exploring and stuff. Like There's like the endless webs where they're constantly fighting spiders, and those are hazards. Those spiders are poison hazards and combat hazards that they have to spend mana, and they have to use ability checks to evade. When they get into real time and they face off against beholders and Illithid and night hags and elder gods, that's normal fine grained combat. And then we do a lot of research and mana puzzles and interrogations, and they use a lot of action economy and ability checks and spending mana to influence the results of that exploration and research roles that they do to find out or gather more find out more information or gather more resources. So I can just turn off the combat mode of play altogether and just operate in other modes of in the other pillars of adventure with different action economy. But depending on how much of an effort I want to make, that's like when you see DMs requiring a conversation to have like 30 or 40 die rolls to resolve, but all you're ever rolling is a charisma check, is because they want to make a battle out of the conversation with the players, but they don't have enough mechanics built into their game to be able to have much more depth than charisma plus which skill do you want to use, intimidation, deception, or persuasion. And that's one ability check that you get to make, but whichever type of ability whichever skill you use will influence what their reaction will be depending on if you succeed the roll or not. So anyway, stuff. Sorry, I've been rambling here. Currently trying to nail down all the places in the adventure that hooks come into play to determine NPCs that are present. So far, I'm thinking Stuck in the Tree, yes. Victims of the Mammoth, that's in the crypt, yes. And there's also in the graveyard. Look at the gazebo with the secret door, because there's NPCs that can be attempting to escape finding that ladder. That's the mammoth could be from that, or the mammoth could have a number of people that were escaping through that hatch. One of them got caught by the mammoth. So like you could have one faction, you could have two factions that escape together, like a family member and somebody from the Silver Flame Church. They both were able to escape. But the church, the Flame Soldier, he got caught in a mammoth mouth. So you find your sister out of any fucking place that you would ever find your sister. You find him in this goddamn graveyard. But she's like, yeah, this soldier, he helped free me. There's this horrible thing that's going on, but he's gonna die. So you can then go find him at the mammoth, and if you can rescue him from that, the mammoth of the mist, for those that don't know, is basically a large size fly trap that's like a lily pad underwater. And when they come across it, it seals up around you and starts dealing acid damage while you're trapped inside. And if it kills you, it dissolves you, and you'll need to have something more than a revivification spell to bring you back. But yeah, that's how you can layer those two things together. Have a strong character and a non-combat character from different factions escape together. Have the tough one get caught in the mammoth so you have more time. And have the non-combat you find desperate for help because their guard was just eaten by a giant Venus flytrap. So looking for help here, could really use some help, and they're more than eager to have a conversation with you, lead you to that person. And since that's a combat active character that they're being led to, they might know more about what's going on than the non-com does. So they become a good reward for investing the time in helping that NPC, even if they aren't your sister. Or Kashubi, I don't know if you're still here or not, but your sister, if she was trapped in the, you would even help your sister perhaps if you found her in the cemetery. And she's desperate for help, and she needs to get away from undead monsters. You'd probably be willing to help her, but you'd be happy to talk to somebody else maybe. So, I don't know if you're still around, man, but thanks for swinging by. Did you get the Man with the Mist token yet? I don't have it yet, technically. I have a shitty one I can make for you. I don't think I've completed it yet. But I've got a bad version of it I can send to you. I'll drop it to you in Discord when we're done. But I don't think it's published ready. I know I was fucking around with one a while ago. But I don't think I finalized that one yet. There, like that. I know a lot of people don't think about abusing action economy that way, but I've been DMing for a very, very long time, and I'm pretty good about cutting through bullshit and staying on point with things that are relevant and fun, and keep the adventure moving forward, knowing when to dial up or back off of the minutia of tasks. Like, if you can feel from your player, you can feel it through the internet even, that there's a weight to what's going on that is not jiving with the team right now. That's when you want to think about reducing the amount of action economy you're tracking during a particular encounter. You can speed it up by reducing the die rolls and making those die rolls make more of a difference. That forces them to be engaged and interested in what's going on. That's also why I recommend doing group initiative and keeping initiative out of combat, because if you have a roster of everyone is always doing something at the same time, you can just go down the line. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And if there's like nothing you specifically want to do, I'm going to help that guy, or I'm going to throw 2 points of mana in to help boost the ability check result of this thing. We're going to give each other advantage in the action. It's like, great. You're helping your team. You're burning some resources, and you're collapsing time frames by me twoing into bonuses to accomplish that thing, and then then time passes for however long those things take, and that's one round. It could be like 10 seconds, like 6 seconds in combat, or it could be like, yeah, we want to go to the store and get a bunch of equipment. It's like, cool, that takes like 5 hours. What'd you get? It's like, well, these are the things that we want. It's like, cool, let's do a quick haggle over it for an ability check and throw some mana at it, and then we can move on. It's like, cool, we'll do the ability check. I really, I know that if I can get at least a 16 on this die roll, I'm going to have enough money left for probably that suit of armor that I'm hoping to be able to afford when we get paid for this quest that we're on. So I'm going to chip in an extra 2 points of mana to make sure that I can jack up that ability check result. And what do you know? I succeeded. And I ate some mana up, and I have a meaningful role that's opening up more options for me in the future. Hooray. Like, that a DM can completely choose to build adventures around that, and it's just a matter of how comfortable are you at improvising challenges and narrative just at the drop of a hat to be able to spin out a story and distract the team with meaningful actions to take. By forcing everyone to take account for what's going on at the same time and make decisions on how to help the party, they're now debating amongst themselves what to do, and I'm buffering the world in the back of my head with the free RAM space I just got for the next 20 seconds. Like, I can buffer out. It's like, I can tell from the reaction that they're going to enjoy fucking around with this merchant. I'm going to need to make sure this merchant has layers to them, because once they start trying to peel into this guy, I can make it more of a challenge than they thought it was going to be, which will be a trigger to them to think that there's something to chase. Because dogs like to wrestle and chase things that fight with them and run. That's just how hunting works. So players are animals more so than most people. So you can use these things on them, and once they get on board with how you use action economy to guide things, they actually fall into the narrative of that with you, because they just get it that there's stuff happening here, and it's Phil's slowing the game down to a slower pace because he wants to pay attention to something that's happening here. They will literally say, hold on. Let's spend a couple more minutes on this. And there's just there's a little gleeful clapping in the back of my mind. It's like, yes, you guys get it. But that takes, you have to sculpt your team into thinking that way, which is why your table is very much your table. Most people that are new to the hobby haven't had an opportunity to really experience and get this. But if they become kind of like a laugh, like most people, like some people love their laugh, some people hate their laugh. But most people don't know that if you listen to your laugh while you're laughing, you can still legitimately laugh, but you can also self-edit and change your laugh into what you want your laugh to sound like. And if you start thinking about, what do I want my laugh to say about me, you can actively sculpt that, which means you can also sculpt like the way that you hold your body, the way that you look, the way that you clean yourself up, the clothes that you wear, all these things. You can manipulate yourself in the environment that you're inside of by simply paying attention to it. DMing is the same way. Once you become aware of a thing, that a thing exists, you can start thinking about that thing, or that thing starts showing up and you can't ignore it. It's like, oh yeah, this thing dragged on a lot more than I really thought it was going to, but Tucker over there kept insisting on rolling dice to influence negotiation. So if we're going to have people that like to do negotiation stuff, I can probably speed this up by making the die result more of an impact to what, like, one and done. Like, make it one and done, give them more than they thought they were going to get, so that they are rewarded for having done it, but also to have made it concise by narratively closing the door on them. Like, this is the die roll that you get. These are the things that, like, that's how I use investigation checks and perception stuff. Like, when you want to investigate or perceive something, I always let you roll a die, because players love it. It's like, can I make a perception check to see what's going on over there? It's like, no, but I'll give you an insight check, because that's the kind of conversation we're talking about. Like, oh, okay, they wanted to throw a die to influence things. And when I have influence dice or observation dice, they always get the information that they need. The baseline, whatever fact they need to be able to pull away with to move on to the next step, they automatically get, even with a natural 1. But anything that's higher than a 1 up through a natural 20 is going to give them more information, more insights, connecting more dots. And if like they're playing like an 18 intelligence person and they rock a natural 20 on an investigation check while they're flipping through a book, it's going to be like, yeah, there's some notes in the margin. That is the exact same signature as the ledgers that you saw on the docks where that ship was stolen a few days ago. That dude had this book. And if you sniff it, you can actually catch some smell of tea that was spilled on deck that day. You remember it in your mind. Like, that's how you can play into that stuff. Like, that, like, I just connected a shitload of dots for you before. If you had rolled a natural 1, it's like, yeah, this is a book that's relevant to such a thing. Another clue about a certain type of, like a certain wild space system or something. It's like, yeah, this book has a dog tag on that system. So whatever is going on, it seems like they're trying to gather information about that wild space system. You think that maybe they're planning on going there, but you're not sure when, where, or like how or why. But you think they're going that way. So what do you want to do next? And then I was like, well, let's go to that wild space system. I was like, you're insane, but here we go. Or I want to find out more about why they might want to do that. What leads do I have for that? And then you can start building leads or finding them, or like doing carousal checks to try to dig in and find somebody that might know information that you need. Like, that's how you can conduct investigations, by guaranteeing they get what they need to go to the next step. But the better they roll, the juicier secrets they get. And so my team loves throwing mana at everything they fucking do. It's like, let's just throw as much mana as we can to get the best results possible. And like, once they start clipping like around like a 16 or an 18, anything higher than that is like, yeah, if they roll higher, great. But once they get into a 16 plus, they're like, that's a good enough die roll that we're going to get something useful, probably a little bit extra. But when they roll a natural 20, they're excited, because they know that they may be able to ask me like 2 or 3 questions, like add-on questions, like logic leap questions. So they can just start asking me questions out of characters, like, what about this? Or does this connect to that? And I can do like yes, no's, or kind of, or like scales of 1 to 10, or I can do a magic 8 ball and give them the answer on there. However it is I want to do it, whatever mood I'm in. You can set your own sort of tempo with that sort of thing. But these are different ways you can manipulate how you control the flow of information inside the game and how you change the challenges that they face. And, oh my god, that feels perfect. Is there anything else in Act 3 that's influenced by plot hook outside of the prisoners, other than party goals? Is there anything else in Act 3? In person, so no token. Okay, good. Okay, so there's the lab assistants that are actively working and making the alchemical property of the alchemical components from the different flora in Mabar. And soldiers are the two humane people. There's also prisoners that can escape. There can also be like the spy, the spy for the 13 plot hook. They could have already have infiltrated the place and hiding, waiting for an opportunity to arise for them to crack open the scorpion safe to get the teleportation stones, or the team could run across them with the teleportation stones already in their possession, trying to find a way to the teleportation chamber to get this thing opened up before the ritual is completed. That's a really good way. If you aren't using the sheriff plot line, you could find a sheriff squirreled away in a hole somewhere, terrified about what he's going to have to do next, and is really thankful that adventurers with, battle fury, blood, or whatever showed up to help save the day because he doesn't have the moxie to do it. He's scared. So you find someone tucked away that way. You can find silver flame zealots stuck in the flooded ruins, fighting undead, or caught by a steroper, or caught by a shambling mount, or caught by an otiug, or being dragged under by drowned assassins. There's places for virtually any of the plot hooks in Act 3, but none of them are hardwired. The only hardwired conflict in Act 3 is Karen and the Houndsman versus Sozu during the ritual, and the soldiers and interns, scientist interns, artificer interns. Those are the only two that have humanity that would potentially not be comfortable with what's going on. So that's the Ader Academy plot hook. And for the soldiers, most likely that would be, that's just the soldiers not being happy with where they're at. You can just influence them with social influence checks and stuff. However you want to play that out. That can be a social encounter if you want. No die roll is even necessary if the team offers a half good idea as to why they wouldn't want to help necromancers pull a new world into this dimension. That's an easy selling point. So at that stage, if you get that deep into the dungeon, your team's looking for help, they can get it for free. Because the soldiers that are down here, it's getting creepy being down here. There's shit floating around. None of these people are coming back from that ritual. And there is some freaky looking shit going on in that ritual chamber. We're legitimately scared, but we're not allowed to break rank. We still think of ourselves as soldiers. That's why we're mercenaries in the first place. And if we just leave our post because we don't like how it is, what's that going to say? That's going to ruin our reputation. So they're willing to stay and witness horrors for as long as they can justify trying to maintain their position. That's why the sheriff is such a great default plot line to use, because you have authority in the nation that there were soldiers of that you're operating in right now. So if law enforcement shows up, it's like, hey, I'm with the FBI, and there's some child, there's a child ring around here. You wouldn't happen to know who's in charge of this facility, would you? What do you think the door guard is going to say? It's like, oh my god. Yeah, here's his name. Here's some footage of him on the film. I know where he's at right now, and he's probably going to be going to lunch in about 20 minutes. So you should be able to catch him before he goes out the door unless something weird is going on. Is there anything else I can do to help you? Do you mind keeping the door locked in case we miss him? It's like, I'll bar it with my own billy stick. That's the kind of conversation you could be getting into with the soldiers in the actual Act 3. Once they're down underground, they stay there for a little bit. It's some of these people are legitimately good people that are like would be characters if they just chose a soldier background, a veteran background, and they were from Karnath. Like any of them could have been with the Red Wolves very easily. So they can be very, very sympathetic to the team and what they're trying to do, and looking that as an opportunity of, you know, heroes do things. And if somebody's sending heroes in here to check this place out, that probably means that somebody's doing a money bag somewhere. That could be a new gig. If we help the team, if we help the characters win, we might be setting ourselves up for a better gig that's got a little less sketchiness to it. I mean, they're adventurers and everything, but it seems that they're on the right side of the law. So, like, they'd be totally willing to help. I love that we have that built in there because it's such a great safety valve for teams that get in over their heads in combat. Like, if they need combat reinforcements, you can just tack on a few soldiers with glaives that have reach weapons to just stand behind the team. It's like, yeah, if you guys want to, like, roll an extra die, like an attack die for these guys, you can go ahead and just control them because you're basically their shield guard, and they're just stabbing things with long sticks over your shoulders. Like, great, that's extra dice of damage coming in. Or they can just use the help action. Like, they don't have to actually make attacks at all. They can just use their reach weapon to use the help action and give your team advantage all the time. It's like, soldiers are just like generic NPC soldier commoners, like nobodies, like minions, like team minions. They're fucking great, man. I think 5e does a great job with how minimal minions can actually be. And they just don't... It's just such a shame that 5e doesn't spell out how cool 5e can be with just a bunch of, like, I don't think it would take much for them to like how they built Saltmarsh with the appendix for, like, boat rules. Like, in Descendant into Avernus, how difficult would it have been for them to tack in on top of the Infernal War Machines, like, how to do simple squad combat, you know? Just like a very simple squad system. Like, here, if you have a flight of 20 imps, then here's a swarm format that you can have this swarm attack your characters during the Blood War. You know, that wouldn't have taken much. Or like Horde of the Dragon Queen. It's like, yeah, this is a dragon worship cult thing. There's a lot of Dragonborn here. Here's an array of how Dragonborn can be mutated or blessed by Tiamat in this campaign, and have a cool little, you know, evil Dragonborn sort of thing. They could have done the same thing with the Draconians in Dragonlance. Like, they're just little flavor things, but 5e is so good at dropping in, like, just little flavor chunks like that. It's so good at it, and the people that made the game just don't seem to be aware of it. It's maybe they are aware of it and they just can't budget it somehow. I don't know the inner workings of 5e. I don't know where it goes wrong and why. I just know that the end results is like really short of what it seems everyone else knows that 5e can be, except for Hasbro. It's like, you know that your paperweight is a solid bar of gold, right? You're holding up, you're keeping your calendar open with it. It's a bar of gold. Do you know your chair is made of platinum? Why is your chair made of? Did you know your chairs? It smells like your butt. What is going on? Hasbro, fix your face. It's seriously, 5e is an amazing system. It is so fun. Just that rant I went on about how you can completely change the focus of a game by redefining what pillar of adventure deserves more action economy over the other, and building a framework to justify it, like narratively, why you would do that. Like that, it shouldn't be me just ranting about these ideas in a random stream somewhere making art. This should be in the new DMsGuild, the new Dungeon Master's Guide. Like, this is the kind of crap that should be covered. Like, if you really want to blow your game open and really control the flow of information inside your game and really take control, think about this shit, and then yada 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 yada. Anyway, I badmouth Wizards of the Coast a lot, But it's only because I fucking love playing D&D so much, and I love 5e so much. And honestly, if they did a better job, I wouldn't be so interested in homebrewing. Like, I never homebrewed in 3e. There was so much kick-ass shit being punched out all the time that I never had an opportunity to get bored with what they were... Like, just as soon as I thought I was getting bored, they released martial powers. It's like the Book of Nine Swords. Here, 250 sword magic things that you can do with all new character classes. Like, it's a really... that was my favorite... That and Savage Species were my two favorite books in 3rd edition. And it's not really that surprising when you look at the kind of stuff that I like to build. But the thing is that 3E just was steeped in that stuff. I think they realized somewhere along the line that, like, it's too much being thrown at players. There's not enough people buying into it. They don't need that many books to be sold. They want to switch to this digital thing. But God... If them switching to digital allows them to create more content with less production time, to have more time for playtesting, to make sure stuff is good, I will bless them moving into a more virtual space. Like, if you can build out 5e as good as we know it can be, with the same care and love that you gave 3e, then I hope your digital whatever is a smash success, because I'm going to get the information whether I'm a subscriber or not. And if it's good stuff, then I will buy it. I will give you the money because it's good, and I want to encourage good behavior. If it keeps being garbage, then I won't, because it's not going to be relevant to me. But I'll build something that's better. So, like Glory of the Giants. Once I finish the Mecha book with Warforged, I can make a book of giants where you've got 500-foot giant kaiju style. It'll be a kaiju book, but I'll have all the giants in there. Like, you want a 200-foot fire giant? Here you go. You better get into a big-ass Jaeger if you want to fight it, but it's on the table, so here we go. But I really need to see what they're going to do with the CR system. I don't pay attention to CR as a DM at all, so it makes it really difficult for me to be able to establish CRs in all the variant systems that I build, which is a design hole I am aware of. That it's a flaw in my design capabilities, not being able to easily or sensibly convert ideas or different challenges into a realistic CR system. But I don't believe in their CR system anyway. No one does. So conforming to it has been a frustration I decided to not conform with and just build stuff anyway. And I really fucking like this Otyugh, man. This thing turned out really nice. Holy shit. I'm just taking a moment here to actually pay attention to what the fuck it is that I've been doing for the past hour. And I like this. This is cool. These neat little glands going on here. This is cool. It's like it's got multiple tongues coming out of its mouth. That's creepy, weird, and I love it. This is cool. But, I mean, that's how it is, right? I go on a rant so I can turn my brain off and let the art do what it needs to do. That's why I like Mondays and Thursdays so much. I'm over-caffeinated. My brain is already fried from working all day. All I can do is just turn off my brain and let it run. And this is where it goes when it runs. So, absolutely adore it. I love this guy. This is a fucking great monster, man. I love this dude. Thanks. Hey, Andy, how you doing? Andy's my co-writer. You've been so patient, Andy. Thank you. This thing is, it's a slow, where the Spelljammer book should be done at the end of the month, and then this becomes my morning project again. We'll start working on the map vignettes for the forest and in the manifest zone. We'll finish up the different tokens that are present there as well. And then we'll make sure we connect with Stuart to clean up the third act, and then I can start breaking down the pages. I can potentially be doing layouts as soon as probably March, if we can get Stuart on board with us by February to finish up the last act. So we're in a good place, Andy. This thing's gonna happen this year, I promise. But fuck, man, I love it. I love this. I'm looking forward to doing the next one already. Seriously, like totally serial. I am looking forward to having another adventure. Gonna go on an adventure. Fucking hardcore, man. It's been a lot of fun. All of it. This whole. I didn't know how, going like running front to back on a book, multiple books, just like making that the theme of my stream. Theme of my stream, yeah. I didn't know how, if it would work or not, but I'm in love with doing this stuff, man. I am absolutely in love with it. I love the amount of accountability that it holds to make sure I'm being productive every day. And new cool people showing up, inspiring me to have ideas and to have shit to talk about that matters. And it's fucking great, man. Just what a great time. My prayer is to be given as much time as worldly possible just to do more of this. Just this. This is my heaven. When I die, I hope that they invite me to a good 40-inch monitor. And a good deep cup of coffee, and just everyone that I fucking love being around, just hanging out and just building stuff. That would be heaven for me. They'll collect me eventually, and I'll run through being dead and all that stuff. But if there is truly a purgatory that is a holding cell, I certainly hope it comes equipped with the most recent edition of the photo of the Adobe suite. That would be super sweet to me. Still kind of sketch. This thing looks super cool. This thing looks legitimately fun. I have to pat myself on the back a little bit because I've never made an outtake before, and this thing's fucking fun. I hope all my tokens turn out this cool in the future. God, what a worthy life. Right on, my guy. Oh, dude, I hope you have a fantastic night, Andy. It's good seeing you here. Thanks for swinging by, my guy. I'll catch up with you and Stuart tomorrow. Andy Healy, ladies and gentlemen. He does Cthulhu adventures. He's got some stuff on. You can just, what is it, Old Goat? Is it the Old Goat production, I think, is his studio. He does Cthulhu stuff. He's done some 5e system neutral adventures. His shit's strong. He's a great guy to work with, too. So I've done a number of commissions for him, and then and just because he comes to the table with great ideas and enthusiasm, we built this adventure together, and he's been patiently awaiting it ever since. All right, I'm going to drop the opacity on this, and we're going to do a cleanup sweep over it to be just better line art, less sketch. That will. Oh my God, it's 9:30. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and have to call it quits. I went on some major tangents tonight, my friends, but I loved the ride. I think this was totally worth. I am thrilled with where we're at. What a cool monster! I am legit proud of that thing. I am beside myself. I love it. Anyway, pat myself on my back enough to break my arm. Thanks a lot, guys, for hanging out with me tonight. If anyone that's catching this now or in the future, if you think this shit is cool, you want to see some of the other projects I do, I literally stream 6 days a week, and I publish something like a 10-minute something on Sundays. So I've got stuff every day unless I'm sick or on vacation. And like today, I was like, I'll be on twice tomorrow. Tomorrow in the morning for Spelljammer environment art, and then I'll be on at lunch using a Martial Power System to build a sample character, a human Azorius Senate Fighter Battle Master, which will be fucking awesome. So and then I'll be back on Saturday morning to do the Colorland West March campaign building, and then I'll have something published on Sunday. I don't know what the topic is yet. And then I'll be back on Monday morning to do more Spelljammer art. On Monday lunch to do probably Boros, probably like a Boros Paladin. Would make a lot of sense. And then Monday night I'll be back doing more token art. So I'm here a lot. I got a lot of shit on my plate. When one thing gets done, I just add a new one on at the back end. Eberron becomes my top priority in the mornings. Martial Powers becomes my secondary project in the evenings. And then my homebrew Spelljammer campaign for Eberron, that becomes my third target in the very, very back, like on Saturday. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I'm out of here. Yeah, see you on the other side.